year. Now today I'm going to speak about Rabbi Haim Farhi. He was assassinated in the English year 1820. He was a great Jewish advisor at the time, and he would be the Jewish advisor, let's say, to the governors of the Galil in the days of the Ottoman Empire. And he was actually known as a Hayim el-Mu'alim, very, very famous title in itself. He was born in the English year 1760 in Damascus, in Syria, Ottoman Empire at that point in time, and was assassinated in Accra, which is also part of the Ottoman Empire in modern-day Israel. And he was a chief advisor, he was a financial vizier, and the de facto ruler of Accra, respectively. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the Chacham's life. Now, he was a chief advisor to Jazar Pasha, who was an Ottoman governor based in Accra. Let's just say, so he would be assassinated in the year 1820, as we said on the outset. You saw the anti-Semitism all throughout Jewish history, unfortunately. He was, I think, instigated by, so there was, Haim Farhi had his own protege, let's say Abdullah Pasha. So Haim Farhi was a financial vizier and the de facto ruler of Accra. I think Abdullah Pasha would have been, was obviously, we're going to speak about him in more detail as we come on, but he ordered that Haim Farhi's body cast into the sea and confiscated all his property. This after he was assassinated in the year 1820. Now, two of Haim Farhi's brothers, Suleiman and Raphael, who were living in Damascus at the time, would take a siege in revenge against Abdullah Pasha in Accra. We see all the anti-Semitism that took place all throughout Jewish history, unfortunately happened in the early 1800s, especially various of the governors of Sidon Ayelet. And he had power and wealth. Both Jewish and European Christians recount tales of his wealth and influence, which can be found in other places. Okay, now it's interesting. After the Ottoman conquest of the Levant from Mamluks, this was in the year 1516, Palestine became part of, let's just say, its empire at that point in time. There was various different areas, let's say, of Asia, North Africa, and southern Eastern Europe, who ruled almost autonomously by local governors. Now, the Levant, in that particular point in time, split into numerous feuding power centers, let's say. There was a rule of the Sanjak of Accra, which is in present day, obviously, northern Israel, was supposed to derive from the authority of the Damascus, let's say, governorate and its walis. In the 18th century, a powerful local leader, someone with the name Zahir al-Umar, he severed ties with the empire and initiated widespread reforms, including road infrastructure and security, and he encouraged Christian and Jewish merchants to settle in the area and revive commerce. So he saw it was an opportunity of commerce one time. Now, after the Treaty of Kuchak Kenariji was signed, I think with Russia or something, in July the 21st, 1774, the Sultan Abdul Hamid, let's say the first, sought to reassert Turkish sovereignty by attacking Dala and blocking the port of Accra. His troops would rise in revolt and murder their leader. Now, I think around the time period of the mid-1770s, a Turkish officer, the Bosnian Mamluk Ahmad al-Jazar, took over, and the Turks regained control over the northern areas of the land at that point in time. Now, the Zahir al-Umar actively, let's say, encouraged Jewish resettlement and would actually invite a famous rabbi who we've spoken about before, Rabbi Chaim ben Yaakov Abulafia of Izmir, to settle in the Galil at that point in time. Now, we've spoken about various rabbis in the series from the Abulafia rabbinic dynasty. Now, the rabbi who was born in Hebron, he was part of the Jerusalem, let's say, Mutzavik, the governmental or district. He returned in 1740 and was received with honors by Zahir. He settled in Tiberias. Many of the Abulafia rabbinic dynasty would live in the holy city of Tiberias, which was restored from, let's say, its bad, ruinous state. An impressive synagogue was built. There was roads constructed. There was Jewish agriculture settlements there. They were founded by Pekin, Shefa Amma, and Kfar Yassif. And very interesting enough, there was a strong local authority enforced the law and prevented, let's say, Bedouin banditry on the roads. Now, the Zahir was one of the most tolerant and efficient local leaders, let's say, and meted out justice equally to Muslim, Christian, and the Jewish people. This was a case of the Zahir and Jalza, transformed the Galil into a region that attracted Arabs from Syria, Lebanon, and Jews from east and west at that point in time. Now, Haim Farhi was born to, as we said before, a very respected Jewish family in Damascus. His father, Shaul or Saul, had established a banking business that flourished to the extent that it expanded to control Syria's finances, banking, and foreign trade for nearly a century. Together with other members, Saul Farhi worked as a financial agent in the Damascus district. Let's say contemporary sources often mention the family as being the real rulers of Syria. That's how powerful they were. They may also have mediated between the Jewish community and the authorities at that point in time, trying to alleviate the tax burden placed on the Jewish people in Tzfat. So they had a huge influence on different holy cities in Israel at that point in time. Now, Shul Farhi, I think, or Haim Farhi, succeeded his father as banker of the ruler of Damascus. He gained huge influence with the Turkish government and became the advisor of Ahmad al-Jazar, the ruler of Accra at that point in time. This was probably due, reported over, I'm reading the Wikipedia notes, due to his intrigues and led to the execution of his previous advisor, Mikal Sakruj, who happened to be, I think, a Christian merchant from Shefa Amar. Al-Jazar was a violent and cruel ruler. You see the anti-Semitism there was, which is evidenced from his title, Al-Jazar, meaning the butcher. He would often find pretexts to lash out in savage assault. At different times he had, let's say, so cruelly and anti-Semitically, Haim Farhi's right eye plucked out, cut off his nose, and spurred his right ear. You can see how disgraceful it was. I think there was an illustration from the time. It shows Al-Jazar sitting in judgment in front of his Jewish advisor who was wearing an eye patch at that point in time. So just see the torment the Jews suffered at that point in time, or how cruel those leaders happened to be. It was during the reign of Al-Jazar in 1799 that the French general and future emperor Napoleon Bonaparte tried to conquer the Damascus Governorate in February. Napoleon and his army arrived from the south. They captured Jaffa and massacred 2,000 Turkish prisoners. They then moved north, captured Haifa and Jezreel Valley, and laid to the siege of Accra. Now Al-Jazar's troops, let's say, refusing to surrender, withstood the siege for 1.5 months. A British naval force under the command of Admiral Sidney Smith came to the town's defense. An artillery expert from the fleet, Anton de Fox, redeployed against Napoleon's forces the artillery pieces which, let's say, the British intercepted from the French at sea. Now, Haim Farhi played a key role in city's defense. Let's say, as Algiers' advisor and right-hand man, he directly supervised how the battle against the siege was run. At the culmination of the assault, the besieging forces managed to make a breach of the walls. After suffering many casualties to, let's just say, open an entry point, Napoleon soldiers found on trying to penetrate the city that, let's say, Haim Farhi and de Fox had. Let's say, in the meantime, it happened to be at that point in time, in the meantime, built a second wall several feet deeper within the city where Jazar's garden was. Now, discovery of, let's say, this new construction convinced Napoleon and his man that the probability of their taking the city was minimal. The siege was raised and Napoleon withdrew to Egypt. Some hold that a statement attributed Napoleon during the war, according to which he promised to return the land to the Jews if he were to succeed in his conquest of Palestine, the southern Syria. It was meant to capture Farhi's attention and betray his master by switching his support to the French. However, Napoleon never showed any particular interest in winning over the Jews of Ottoman Syria during his campaign there, though his account of the military campaign, let's just say, records a rumor among Syrian Jews had it that after Napoleon took Accra, he would go on to Jerusalem and restore Solomon's temple. That's what's chronicled over here. I'm reading the Wikipedia article there. Now, involvement in Jewish matters. Well, how did Rabbi Haim Farhi have this influence? So it says Haim Farhi provided support for Jewish immigrants who made Aliyah and settled in Tzfat and in Tiberias, including various different Hasidim, Perushim, and Maravim. He offered assistance with their tax burdens. Let's just say, during his tenure, the Jewish population in Accra grew to 800 individuals. The Jewish neighborhood in Tiberias also grew significantly, as Rabbi Yitzhak Abulafia, appointed by, let's say, Haim Farhi as the governor and secretary of Tzfat and Tiberias, expanded its boundaries through the acquisition of a significant tract from Solomon Pasha in 1805. Now, the murder, the assassination that actually took place, see the disgraceful anti-Semitism. After the death of Al-Jazar in 1804, his Mamluk, Solomon Pasha, succeeded to the Pashalik of Akko under him. Just going to take a small break at the moment. It's actually interesting.
Hey, Marco.
Hey, how's it going? Just doing the live video at the moment. So as you can see, we're talking all about anti-Semitism here, and we've just got a siren at the moment from the place I'm recording live at. Very interesting. So we'll just take a 1 minute break in this historical video. We'll just continue now. Sorry about this, it's just an interruption. We just had a siren over here in this city, so where we're doing this live video at the moment, or the history of the rabbi. So we'll just continue now the video. So, okay. So we're talking about, after the, you can see we're talking all about anti-Semitism. The Syrian Jews suffered over here, and at the moment there's actually a rocket being sent here to Israel, to the city I'm in at the moment. So, okay, let's continue over here. I just got to see where, okay, so we're talking about assassination. After the death of Al-Jazar in 1804, his Mamluk Solomon Pasha succeeded to the Pashalik of Akko. Under him, the Jews enjoyed, according to one traveler, perfect religious freedom and were, let's say, relieved of the substantial fines they were frequently compelled to pay under Al-Jazar and were obliged to pay only a customary, let's say, kardij. Now, Suleiman continued working with Farhi and employed him much as his own father had. Suleiman had held sway over the region until his death in 1819, where he bequeathed his power, let's say, to Haim Farhi's adopted son, Abdullah Pasha ibn Ali, the orphan of a bey who had died prematurely. However, Abdullah, determined to rid himself of his foster father, Haim Farhi, when Haim Farhi got word of his decision, he refused to flee, believing such an action would imperil his fellow Jews in the kingdom. So he was taking care of the fellow Jews in the kingdom at that point in time. Now, I think it was on the 21st of August in 1820, soldiers appeared at Haim Farhi's residence in Accra, denouncing him as a traitor, and they seized and strangled him to death and ransacked his house. His family was denied permission to bury his body. You can see the disgraceful anti-Semitism there was. The family's assets were expropriated and Haim Farhi's body was cast into the sea. The family escaped to Damascus. Now, Haim Farhi's wife, unable to withstand the rigors of the journey, died on the way to Tzfat. Abdullah then compelled the Jews of Accra and Tzfat to pay in full all the back taxes they would have owned had they had been exempted, through Rabbi Farhi's good offices from paying over the years, let's say. Now, Haim Farhi's murder precipitated what one recent historian of the city called the first serious, let's say, an existential crisis in Accra. Now, there was retaliation of it. When there was a murder of Haim Farhi reached Damascus, his brothers Shlomo and Raphael and Moise wanted a vengeance over here. They hired Turkish officers, this report over Wikipedia, in Damascus and Aleppo to, let's say, for that purpose over here. And it's a whole story unto itself. I think in April 1821, the Farhi brothers arrived with a large army in Akko Sanjak. They conquered the Galil, defeating the armies of Abdullah, sent to meet him, and appointing new rulers to take or wake his authority in every region they conquered. When they finally reached Accra, they besieged it for 40 months. During the siege, the eldest brother, Solomon, was poisoned, according to some sources, was stabbed or poisoned by Abdullah's emissaries, and the surviving brothers, despairing of the siege, withdrew with their troops to Damascus. Now, Haim Farhi's legacy lives on. The residents, let's say Farhi's residents, still stands today in Accra, but I don't think it's still open to visitors in modern day. Accra also has a square in his honor in the old sector of the city, so I thought this would be informative. If you're wondering why did I move location in the middle of the video over here, we just had a siren over here in the city of Shemesh. I was recording from a coffee shop this clip, and a siren just came on. Possibly a rocket is being thrown in Israel. So we're talking about the anti-Semitism the Jewish community suffered in the early 1800s over here, and you can see the anti-Semitism we're suffering in Israel at the moment over here. So everyone, please subscribe to the channel, please. We're a community here. We're learning about the great personalities of yesteryear. We're nearly on 7,000 subscribers. So please like the videos, share the videos, and hope to hear from all of you soon. Wishing you all a fantastic day. And if you dissent from any of the rabbis you're speaking about, please let me know who they are. We have related over nearly 1,000, as many as 1,000 biography videos already on this series. So we're making huge progress in general at the moment. So it's we've got an opportunity to be part of this channel, to see the channel grow from strength to strength at the moment. And then we see all just good things here occurring in Israel. And we've already related over possibly about a good 80 Syrian rabbis already inside the series, which is a huge amount of rabbanim and a huge breadth of entire knowledge within regards to the rabbis in this series. So wishing you all well, blessings here from Israel, and we're recording this from the city of Bet Shemesh. Bet Shemesh actually means the house of sun, just so that you all know, just like the dynamics, it's more in the central Israel area we are in at the moment. So wishing you all blessings, and I'll just switch this off now.